Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well after yesterday's party. My name is Slawomir Jasek. I'm a security consultant. I love to hack things, and I really like this job. But after 10 years of security consulting, mostly very strictly, severely limited in time, you have to learn to focus on what's important. And you have to learn how to assess the real risk impact and the conditions to exploit the vulnerability, and who and what for would do that. And that's the approach I'd like to share with you today. So we'll be talking a few words about what's IoT, then we'll try to break different devices, and we'll think of the risk impact of breaking them, and a few words what could we do to improve this situation. Internet of Things, for me, this is just another buzzword. Just like a few years back, we had a problem to define what's exactly the cloud, big data, or mobile. For me, Internet of Things is just a network of connected devices with embedded processing power, and of course, add the other buzzwords. So, in pretty much every presentation regarding IoT, you get these nice graphs showing you the variety of it and how many devices there will be per human being in 5 years. But I will spare you this one, and let's go to the actual content. I bought this camera in order to connect it to my smart home installation. I chose the cheapest one, with power over Ethernet and OnVIF, which was supposed to help me to manage it. Well, it's quite a nice piece of hardware. It has nice and good optics, solid metal case, and it was 3 times cheaper than the other ones. I soon found out why. After I tried to log into it, it needed me to install this ActiveX, which was unsigned, but that didn't work, even after installing this ActiveX. So I tried to click on this download button. So you have to install this exe. Well, of course, this has to be false positive, right? But I actually wanted to connect it to my Raspberry Pi, so that wouldn't help me. So I scanned this device. So you can see this telnet port, but unfortunately, the web interface password didn't work. So this is LTSP, this is the OnVIF, which didn't help me also. Let's take a look at this one. If you telnet to this port, it happens to be some kind of debug service, which tells you everything what happens with the device. Oh, look, someone connected via HTTPD. And what happens next? Wait, what was that again? There you have an admin and no password connection. And it's just available without any authentication. You just telnet to this port. But let's try to use actually the web interface in Linux. Maybe we could try to access some unexisting path. Well, that's strange. Let's take a look at that closer. If we could repeat this, maybe we will find out something more. Well, I don't know if it's visible. We could try. Well, the file is not found. How about that? Well, it's an etc contents. And how if we tried something like that? Well, we got the etc passw. I suppose this is the hard-coded root password for the telnet. So what can you do about it? Well, of course, you run the John the Ripper, but it took 2 calculating days of my laptop and didn't get the results. So I tried to online hash cracking it, and it turned out that online hash crackers don't have the MD5 crypt. So it turned out that actually you don't need to hack it. In fact, wam nada iskać paruski. Prosto wwedicie w Google parol i imię etawa ustrojstwa i вот parole eta password, i вот eta password. So it actually is the name of the device and HD IP camera. So that wasn't so hard, right? Of course, now you can telnet and have root access to it and all the other these devices connected in the network. But of course, you can do the same with just pinwalking the firmware and connecting via JTAG and so on. It's pretty obvious for the embedded hacking. But you should take a look also at what's actually transmitted from this device. Well, I didn't order this connection to AWS. Well, it turns out that this a hidden feature which allows you to, it's a cloud service. The camera connects to this cloud service and allows you to view the video. So you have this HRLP button, which I would translate, hackers really like this product. If you click on that, you get this we clone to use guide. Well, I don't know if you guys, but I had to look it up. Clone means Etherware. So now we can check the cable is online and choose one step or the next. Which one would you choose? Well, if you will understand the use guide, you will soon find out that you can log in to this cloud service only by entering the ID of the device, which happens to be your MAC address and the CAPTCHA. Well, this one is not online. I wonder what would happen if we just misspelled the MAC address. Also not online. I don't know if you noticed, this CAPTCHA is really simple to break via GeoCR, but we actually don't need to do this because the service doesn't ask for the re-entering the CAPTCHA. So of course we could script that and try all the other values, but of course we won't do that because that would be illegal. Instead, we'll check the frequently asked questions, and if by accident, by entering your MAC address, you get other users' video, that's because we just produced a lot of devices with the same MAC addresses. But now we have fixed this problem. We improved the security level, and all the devices have different MAC addresses. That's kind of pretty obvious. And if it was something new to you, then you're probably not from the InfoSec industry, or you actually work and not read the RNetSec feeds. So it doesn't impress. It's a lot of devices which can you hack in this way. So in order to understand why that happens, you have to look at how these devices are actually produced. In the beginning, there's a boot support package, which gives you the kernel and boot process. Then it's ODM, about which you actually didn't hear anywhere because it's an unknown manufacturer from China, but actually they do the device, they do the SDK, they do the cloud, and so on. Then it's another three-letter original equipment manufacturer that brands it, gives you support warranty and so on, sometimes. There is another party which sometimes rebrands it another time, gives you sometimes another SDK and adds another level of software, and then it's you, end user. And of course you demand a lot of features with a good price. That's obvious. And that goes up all the way to the chain. And you, in fact, did you actually ask for the security? Well, in most cases, no. So why would they bother? They probably don't even have an SLAs. I suppose that this one, OEM, doesn't know about hidden debug service, and I suppose that this reseller doesn't even know that there is a cloud service. So, of course, I wanted to report these vulnerabilities, but I couldn't contact them. My only contact was the distributor, which, of course, didn't answer my email. So, should we worry about it? Well, the favorite consultant's answer, that depends. But in fact, we are supposed to be aware that you get what you pay for, and you just don't connect these devices to the internet directly, and of course monitor the outgoing traffic too, right? But should we care about the others, which are not such aware as us? Well, I don't know, if you are not from Poland, you probably don't know that we have hell here in Poland. It's located by the sea. And according to this crowdsourcing service, where users enter the cameras they spot, the surveillance cameras they spot on the streets, there's cameras like hell. Well, pretty much every shop and restaurant has its own cameras. And if we take a short walk through the hell, there's 200 meters from this pub to our apartment, and you can count the cameras. Well, it turns out, well, we just passed 21 that we know of. And it will be much more of them because there are already cameras that don't need any power, and the cameras that can be produced at very low price and be very small. What happens if all these devices are connected to the internet? Well, most users actually don't care and even don't change the default password. So you can just scan them and catalog them via IP, for example, like this service. And of course, you can watch the video, the boring stuff, the meeting rooms, the cafes, the machines. Oh wait, that's interesting. What is she doing? Maybe we could zoom in. Is she actually left-handed? Then cash registers and so on. Well, of course, that's a problem for the owners and maybe trespassers. But what if someone did connect the dots? I mean, take these public interfaces, geolocate them exactly, and pass all the video through the big data. Well, finally, we have the big data and cloud and the IoT. Well, they are already image processing algorithms that allows you to connect various video sources into one. That would make some kind of super surveillance system at almost no cost. Unfortunately, the same often goes to industrial, urban, and medical equipment. For example, you have a lot of interfaces, Modbus TCP interfaces, serial TCP interfaces with default passwords. Well, I've seen a lot of them. I haven't seen a single one properly configured so far. For example, this one, they have entered another admin account, but they left the default administrator one. That one actually is connected to a petrol company in Spain. So if you can talk Modbus, then you probably can disrupt some real devices. And if you would be, for example, a cyber army, you could just brute force all of them and watch the news, what happens. Well, this is a device I actually encountered during assessment in a factory. It's an RFID reader, scanner, that scans tags on a privileged trucks and automatically opens the gate. But if you scan this device, you have this telnet. Well, that doesn't work any password, default password. So there's another service. It happens to be a proprietary protocol. But if you look at the documentation, it's quite well documented. And it's even an example of a command you can send, which gives you all the tags that are in the field. So we just can construct this sophisticated protocol client and send this command. Well, let's have a look at this via hex dump. And now we have the tags that just arrived, and we could probably clone it. But is this really a problem? Well, the answer is that, again, it depends, because if the incoming vehicles are additionally verified by security staff, that cloning the tag would not actually help you, especially as the device would be in restricted LAN and you couldn't just scan it. But if you would get an idea to get rid of the security stuff, because you just bought this fine, secure RFID automatic opener, you could alter the risk conditions dramatically. So you have to be aware of the technology shortcomings and not alter the conditions. And finally, Bluetooth Smart. Bluetooth Smart is by most considered well, the definition of IoT. If you know anything about Bluetooth, Bluetooth 3, just forget it, because Bluetooth 4 is completely different protocol from RF to upper layers. It's designed from the ground up to be very low energy usage, and it has two main protocol topologies. You have a broadcaster that broadcasts publicly available information which can be read by observers, and you have master plus peripheral, the mobile phone connecting to a device. So the first, the simplest implementation of the broadcasting is the beacon. It looks like this. It's a small chip with a battery. It has lots of nice cases. It's actually, the only thing it does, it just transmits this information. Each beacon has its individual number, and it transmits this publicly available information on which the mobile application can calculate the precise distance in centimeters to this device. So you have to be aware that this information is public. You could scan it, for example, in I don't know, a free mobile application, and you could just emulate the beacon. You can enter the same values as existing beacon. You can do it in free iOS application. If you have iPhone 4S, for example, it's like Blue application. And you can do this in Linux, issuing this fine command. Well, in order to understand this command, you just need to read the fine 2,302 pages Bluetooth 4 specification. Well, but actually, it's quite readable, really. So this is the command type. This is set advertising data, and this is the data. And the data is just the values we've been talking before. So these values are here. So there's no magic there to emulate the beacon. So you should be aware that this is possible when you make decisions based on it. And some of these decisions may influence the risk. But for example, let's take a look at the first usage case. It's in a museum. It actually works here in Krakow, for example. You have a mobile application that shows you additional information on the exhibition if you come close to a painting or something like that. So you could come with an abuse scenario where you could sit there and emulate the beacon and show some other information on other painting, maybe. But what would you gain from it? Well, and actually, nobody uses this mobile application then. So the risk in there would be really small. But if you take a look at this, for example, at this startup, this prototype, which is basically an electrode mounted to your leg in order to navigate you automatically by mobile application. Yes, this is working prototype. So I believe I was talking a lot with the beacon people, and they are just eager to find a new way to use these beacons. And I'm 100% sure that they would propose that we would use beacons to navigate people, for example, from museum or something like that. And the abuse, I would imagine, would be like that. So you have to be aware of the limitations of the technology and its use cases and the decisions you make on this technology. And if you wonder what happened with the other ones, Yeah, they just go down to, unfortunately, all of them. So, of course, there are other Bluetooth devices, because that's just the beginning. And the availability of this and low price of this technology significantly lowered the entry level to be an inventor. Actually, the most important thing to be an inventor now is to run a successful crowdsourcing campaign. And it's kind of a celebrity thing. You have a plethora of devices. For example, you have devices that measure your back gases in order to tell you how to improve your diet properly. If you don't believe, check out this brilliant blog about we put the chip in it. It was just a dumb thing. Then we put the chip in it. Now it's a smart thing. For example, this thing, well, the false measuring device didn't make the crowdfunding a celebrity, but this thing, this is a magic cup which automatically measures what's poured inside. It can detect that this is coffee. It can even detect this is Starbucks coffee and tell you how many calories it has. And it got funding like $3 million, which may seem ridiculous, but that's real money. And it's hard to understand why other fine projects don't get the funding. For example, this one. It's a nice project that that allows you to open the door of the car with your mobile device. Of course, the startup put a huge effort to make it secure. To my knowledge, they have been assured the communication is unbreakable because they use AES. Well, so they made this hacking competition. They put the car, and if someone can break the car, he can take it. So of course, the competition did draw my attention, but I actually wasn't interested in the car. In fact, I showed them that an intruder may approach the unsuspected victim's phone for once in order to get full control over the car for consecutive times without the consent of the victim. I believe we have together assumed that this attack scenario is possible, and since I wasn't interested, in fact, in the car, I asked them if they could hang me the prototype of this device in order to assess my other attack scenarios, not on the parking lot on which I actually hacked my own car when I drained a battery for my laptop. Unfortunately, we stuck up at signing this NDA they required for me to sign in order to help them for free. But I still hope that we'll be able at least to announce a statement together, despite they recently don't answer my phones. But I hope it will have a happy end. But that actually took quite a few days of hacking, and we are supposed to talk about the devices that actually don't need any hack. So I will gladly tell you about this vulnerability, which affects all the Bluetooth devices I saw, but maybe another time. Let's move back to the devices that actually don't need to be hacked. My smart meter, my energy smart meter, has this tiny LED flashing on the usage. So I attach this device, not this blue optic plug, which allows me to reconfigure this Bluetooth module that counts this ticks. It looks like this. It counts the light ticks and transmits it. So if you take a look at this transmission, this is actual transmission content. you probably will see the transmitted data. I will help you with, that's where I turn off the light and where I turn on the kettle. For the help, this is little endian, so you have to read backwards. All right, there is a total number of the impulses, and there is temporal number of impulses per minute. So it's transmitted like without any encryption in the open. So we just hacked it. Well, in fact, we didn't even have to. Would you consider it a problem? Well, most users, if you ask that their energy usage could be monitored in real time, they would be concerned. But it's really a problem. If you take a look at the conditions to exploit, this is Bluetooth Low Energy, so low power, low distance, and you would have to be about 10 meters from my house in order to get my presence at home, something like that, I don't know. My house is on a hill, and I especially checked it out that actually you can get my presence from 5.3 kilometers distance. It's much easier. And of course, I can detect the intruder too with my fine Chinese little camera. And by the way, I haven't bothered to set any password on this device. So you could reconfigure it if you would be at my home. But if you would like to be hostile against me, in fact, it would be much easier to you to take a brick and break my window, and the impact would be greater. But I honestly hope you won't do this. So there are also other smart meters. For example, this is a device that is attached on top of the water meter and transmits the indication wirelessly for the collectors. And to my knowledge, it's several hundred thousands of these devices, such devices installed here in Poland. So if you don't know anything about wireless sniffing, well, you are supposed to know, but if you don't know, check out this tiny USB TV stick, which gives you the raw wireless data on all interesting channels. And you can use the free software to decode the signal. Of course, if the device would transmit in restricted frequencies, it would be on a public list where it happens to be there are some power plants, mines, and so on. But it turns out that this device just uses the public ISM band, and you can just isolate the signal easily. Take a look at it, for example, in SDR sharp. Well, it's not quite visible. We'll see in a moment. There, yeah, this is the signal. If you are aware, this is FSK modulation. So you can just take the GNU radio and demodulate it with proper blocks. It's not actually hacking, it's just the knowledge of demodulation. And of course, you could use a better gain antenna to get all the users' indications. But does it really matter? Is it really a problem? Well, in fact, to assess the risk for the end user, you would need to see the conditions to exploit it. Well, first, of course, the data would have to be transmitted clear text or without proper encryption. And it would have to be transmitted with the precision which would be higher than actually needed for the billing. Well, for the billing, you just use kiloliters. And in my home, you just get 1 kiloliter per week. So sniffing that actually doesn't give you any information. So the device would have to transmit liters with much higher precision than is needed. Of course, the attacker would have to be in range of the transmitter and would have the knowledge of decoding this. And what would he actually gain? Well, we are talking about the meter just broadcast the indication. Of course, it's quite a different risks where you have energy smart meter with which you can turn off the power, but that's just another story. Well, you could get my presence again from this reading. I don't know, but based on these conditions, it would be much easier to get my presence, for example, by watching parked cars or something like that, or lights. Well, my personal habits on water usage. Well, I'm not afraid that you know it. Well, the most devious scenario would be emulate a tampering alarm because the device can send an alert when you tamper it. So I could send an alert for the neighbor. I don't know, but I would have to jam the original device signal and then transmit it at the same time the collector comes. Well, that doesn't make sense. Of course, the collector would check out that this device is okay. In fact, for the end user, there's not such a big risk. But if you are an operator, for example, if the device would send too detailed indication, that could be a problem with regulation. Or, of course, we could think of the cheating example, which there's common knowledge that would require a quite expensive transmitter and building a sophisticated Faraday cage. You need at least 3 of them. One is not enough. And you could end up in this bill, which tells actually that you used 1,500 times less than you were supposed to. So that may be a risk for the operator. Okay, for the summary, should we worry? Again, the favorite answer, that depends. That depends on the factors I haven't been able to tell you all about. The risk is not quite always obvious because sometimes you can hack the thing and it doesn't even matter in the end. But you can also implement a seemingly safe use scenario which alters the risk significantly. The physical presence does reduce the attack possibilities, but this may change in time because they may arise new tools. Well, if you are a blogger that would like to blog about hacking IoT, well, please act in good faith and take real risk into consideration and the impact of this what you're doing. If you are a pen tester, you should probably adapt new skills and labs, but sometimes it's just enough to read the manual and use your existing skills. If you are a vendor which produces this kind of device which actually has anything to do with security, you should definitely consult this with professionals. This may be an eye-opener. So if you don't have any money or you don't have a lot of money, you could use the Backcloud initiative or use our initiative. We decided to provide 1 hour a week of free consultancy, so anyone can fill the form. It's not transmitted to English, but you can drop us a line. So if you have, for example, a device, you can drop it to us, and we'll see what we can do. Of course, you could predict the future compliance, and you could try to implement secure use scenarios, enforce the non-default passwords, for example, and somehow educate the users. If you are an end user, you're supposed to understand the technology, but that's not always possible. And if you are, for example, industrial, or urban or medical, you should definitely consider security assessment of your installation. And just get used to the loss of privacy, because you lost your privacy anyway when you bought a smartphone, and it's just another step further. But you actually could demand the security in the supply chain, and that may change anything. And for the happy end, last but not least, I had this dream, a visionary dream, when the light and a nice white person descends in light and tells you, you just draw this picture. So I'm really bad at drawing, but essentially this was like that. And I don't know if that's what looks for you guys, but for me, this is just obscene. And the features at low cost, it's just bad. Yeah, I believe we can do this better. And I will stick to this. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be there at our stand, and you can ask them now, of course, if you have time.
I have one question, because I don't think you're appreciating the danger of somebody reading the, for example, water meter.
Yeah.
The problem that I see is that this is a perfect venue for social engineering attack. I read data from you.
Yeah.
I know. I then go to your home and say, "Hello, I'm from the water utility company, and these are your readings. Can we talk about it? And by the way, can you make me a coffee?" And then you don't have any money at your home. So.
You are supposed to be aware about such kind of attack. There are actually a lot of these social engineering attacks with a man going from home to home, and here in Poland. So the companies try to educate users that they don't send these salesmen to them. So I'm not sure if that actually affects the risk here. Maybe a little bit.
May I?
Yeah, of course.
Have you probably tried to contact some of the suppliers like water company or power company to report back to them what you have found, and to just at least to check what they will say about it?
That may look that I have found actually a vulnerability, but I haven't said so. It was just a hypothesis that you could break it, but I haven't confirmed it. So it was just a risk analysis based. Yes, of course. We always try to contact the vendors.
There is no problem to send the same information from counters.
Yeah.
So we can create perfect billing for someone.
I don't quite understand the attack scenario.
We can send information as counter. So
As a
we
counter,
we can force someone to pay plenty of money.
To pay more money, and you would be who?
We can send information to the supplier.
Yeah.
That I have used, by example, 10,000 square meters of water.
Okay. So who would gain from this attack?
That's denial of service.
I would gain from pissing off my neighbor.
Yeah.
He would cut off his water supply.
Yeah, but like I said, in order to actually send an indication that would be read by this operator, you would have to jump the original signal, and you would have to send this information at the same time the collectors would come, and that would be quite difficult to do. So the attack would be difficult to perform, and I believe the gain would be mostly a denial of service, and maybe the operator would gain if you had different. No, actually no, because they would come to the house with this wrong information, with this wrong indication, and they would actually check it visually. And they would find out soon that there's something wrong with this device. So
You pay for that because you're
Well, why would I pay for coming them?
Check that. You do.
Well, yeah, you do pay if you actually tampered physically the device. But in this attack, the victim didn't tamper physically the device. They can come to his house.
It would be a tough nut to crack for the operator.
Yeah.
Have you tried to perform any attack on the Bluetooth beacons in the real life scenario?
Real life, not.
Okay, so it's just
Yeah. In real life, yes, I have made a successful attack, but they asked me not to publish this information. So it was a startup which depends on the beacons to give something for the users. So I showed them the attack scenario possibilities. I didn't have time to talk about it, and actually it wouldn't give anything to my presentation.
yeah, but I mean, have you tried to exploit it and did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, beacons have more vulnerabilities. For example, you could reconfigure them or something like that, but that's for another talk. Of course, you can talk to me later. I'm at our stand, so you're welcome. So thank you.